like, for the June minutes.
Yep, here we go, here we go.
Any questions, corrections for the June minutes?
Oh, you're improvising, okay.
Yes.
I am looking at them right now. I think I'm the only other person who was on that meeting with you. So, have you looked over them, Tim?
I did.
How'd they look to you?
I was fine
Okay,
with them.
and what I see I like, so should we, I move to approve them?
Yeah, do we have a motion to approve the June minutes?
I move. I so move.
And I believe I can second.
Yep.
I guess we are supposed to do roll call votes. So, just staying with that, Barbara?
As well.
Well, I have a question, since I was
Sure.
not at the meeting, can I approve or not approve the minutes?
You can, I was told that even though you weren't there, you could vote to approve, you can abstain, or you can vote no.
Okay, then I approve them, yes, I read them.
All right, and Sharon?
To do it for all of
I
them.
approve.
Okay.
Actually, no, that's just GFX one in general.
And who else? Diana?
Alright,
I
they're on
abstain.
approval of minutes. I don't see them on this list.
Okay. Kate?
I approve.
We're basically
And-
able to. we can
And
go
I
about
also
this.
approve. All right, and they're so passed. The next set of minutes are from July, and I did want to note down that Kate had taken notes during that meeting, and I thought that was a good example of concise minutes that follows the order of the meeting that we had, and was well done, a good example. So do we have any questions on the July minutes? Hearing no questions, do we have a motion to approve?
I so move.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay, and,
Oh, no, excuse me, I have one correction, I'm sorry.
okay,
Just for this sake and future sake, my name is spelled Hagan.
all right, and help, I'm looking at the July minutes.
Yes,
In fact, I don't have the,
July minutes,
yes, where is that?
the very, very first line, meeting is called to order, in attendance was
Okay, A-N, got it,
Hagan hyphen Smith.
okay, all right, so I think, someone had, who moved to approve these? I didn't quite hear.
Sharon,
Sharon did.
Okay, Sharon,
Barbara,
Yeah.
second.
great, and the roll call vote again, Barbara?
I approve with that correction.
Okay. Good.
I so-
I'm sorry, I heard someone make a comment.
I vote yes to approve the minutes.
Okay. Diana?
I abstain.
Ian? Kate?
I vote yes.
Okay. And I also vote to approve. Thank you, everybody. We move on. Move on to the election of chair, vice chair, and secretary. We wanted to make a comment. There was some discussion last meeting about finding some town staff person to take notes, take minutes, if you will, at the meetings. That turns out to be not perhaps as straightforward as we thought at the time of the meeting. It would involve a cost to the town and approval by Beth Heller if we were to seek that. My preference at this point would be to still try to find a way for us to do that internally. And if necessary, if hopefully we would have some nomination for a secretary, and if we don't have a secretary come out of the meeting, then I would suggest we just rotate that duty among the people on the commission.
Well, Tim, I appreciate that, but there had always been a person up until a year ago or a year and a half ago that was abruptly changed. So there have been funds, so I'm not sure where those funds went. And we have money that is, we have a unique commission, have money for appropriating land that is supposedly allocated to ours. So I'm not sure why our budget is so different than wetlands or zoning or finance, or I understand that we're not maybe as influential, but I just am surprised that it now has to be voted on when it didn't have to. It was taken away without that kind of requirement. So maybe David, you could speak to that. Do you understand that?
Well, I really don't know more than you do. I know that for inland wetlands and for some of the other meetings, the enforcement officer is involved. So like for inland wetlands, she's involved. And what was the other one that you mentioned?
Finance or zoning or Board of Selectmen, or I'm not sure. There's probably many other meetings that meet. I just don't know what the criteria is.
I think the two issues, and they're not insurmountable, is number one, if you want to have someone, then they'll have to be paid, and you have funds for that. And the second issue is there anyone who is available? There are only a few people who are available for taking notes. So those are the two things that you have to satisfy.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, and maybe somebody would like to be secretary and would be willing to do it too. That's still a possibility.
Okay, well, let us find out. My intention here is to ask for nominations for the slate, and then have us vote on the slate. So, do we have any?
Well, I have a question before we do that. I don't know if this is the appropriate moment, but what does the person? I guess the president is the most time-consuming and important, but I guess I'm wondering what is the perceived role? Is that someone who's just coalescing information, or is it someone who's directing what we focus on, or are they the main person, or maybe all these things? Are they the main liaison with the Board of Selectmen?
Are you talking about the chair?
Yeah.
Okay. Sharon, I make an assumption because I've never seen a written description of the chair responsibilities. But from observing what the role Jason had performed, and you certainly had been on the commission for a while, so probably have more experience with that than I do. The chair is the person who is coordinating the meetings, developing the draft agenda, taking suggestions from the commission members, and then facilitating the running of the meeting. And as you said, there is some coordination with town hall. for either matters of administration, coordination, and if there are issues that need to be discussed, bringing them forward appropriately.
Sounds like it makes sense. So Tim, are you suggesting that each person who wants to do that, or that people recommend each other, or that each person
Well,
should say
sure.
they want to?
I was almost, Sharon, and now I'm going to do it. I'm going to ask you what the procedure in the past had been, because I haven't been on one of these before, but from another commission, my understanding was what they did was they put together a slate based upon nominations by the members of the commission, and then they voted the slate.
Okay, I don't
It
know
was
if they,
done differently the last time you went around with Jason, and I'm open to doing that differently.
Yeah,
When I put out, I think I put out the note, and I didn't get any responses back of anyone having interest.
well, I wanted to nominate you as president, but I don't know that whether you nominate yourself or you need someone else to nominate you. So I was wondering if you wanted to take on that role, which you're already taking on as lion's share of. And
Well, yeah. Well, let me again. It's not a president. It's a chair.
chair, exactly. That's what. All right.
And again, just based upon my slight knowledge from another commission, they were open the floor to nominations. People nominate other people, and if somebody was interested, certainly they can voice that. I just haven't gotten anybody to voice that. So that may be the first question: who is interested, and then we can take other nominations.
Also, Tim, Valerie King joined. She can see and hear everything, but
Oh, great. I don't see Val up here.
I don't think she's able to speak. Sorry, not to digress. So would it be helpful right now? Do you want to just open the floor up to everybody who's here and say who is?
Yeah, well, I mean, and I think I'd take them one at a time, and I was actually gonna do, doesn't matter the order, I don't think, but, I was gonna do secretary first. Is there anyone interested that would perform as secretary? Anybody like to do that? Or, hearing silence, any nominations for that? I mean, I guess it's hard to throw someone in if no one wants to do it. Okay. And, all right, how about,
I'm sorry, regarding the secretary, I'm about to go on maternity leave, so I apologize. I just don't think I'm the right candidate for it right now. So perhaps in the future, or if you rotate, that's fine too.
Yeah.
My suggestion would be, if we don't have somebody, that we pursue the clerk position, reestablishing that.
okay. And,
Would Karen be willing to do it? I mean, Karen, I think you're here. Are you?
Karen?
Sharon?
No,
Sharon.
No, I didn't mean Karen. Sorry. Back up there.
All right, and, for chair, Sharon, I think you started to say,
I was nominating you for chair, if you're interested.
any other nominations for chair? Or interest?
I would second Sharon's nomination of you, Tim.
And how about vice chair?
Can we nominate you, Kate?
I'd like to nominate Sharon also.
Yeah, Sharon, I would have nominated you. You've been here longer than I have. I'm still pretty new.
But you're very efficient and proficient and. Would you like it, Kate?
I'm gonna let the two of you fight this out. I'm just gonna sit back and.
This
take
is
a
where
drink of water.
I miss having the meetings in person because Sharon and I could look across the table at each other and try to figure out how this was gonna work. I don't have a strong desire to, and we haven't had a vice chair in the past, so unless Sharon felt very strongly about it, I would rather remain a dutiful worker bee without a title for right now.
Well, and the role of vice chair is do the agenda that you're doing, Tim, if you can't do it. It's just that my computer skills are my husband's computer skills are very good, but mine are not so great. So I would be relying on him for helping me with it. But if it was a rare moment that it was happening, I think that would be fine.
Yeah, I mean, I would think, if there was a conflict on the day of the meeting, it may be more facilitating the meeting.
Okay,
The agenda develops over time. My hope is to, kind of gather agenda items at the end of each meeting, and that sort of makes the agenda itself. And, there are times that, everybody travels, takes vacation, so if somebody happens to be away, that's where it would be helpful, more than, I think, pulling together a lot of the material.
Okay, well,
Sharon, I will say that you, at the last meeting, you voiced the need for vice chair, so I thought you probably had a good sense of what you wanted that role to be.
I just think it's good to have a backup in case you can't be there, so that it doesn't fall to entropy. But I will accept the nomination if I can check in with you, Kate, if the need arises, so that we can maybe work together on it a little bit.
Absolutely.
All right, that sounds good, and I will echo Kate's, I think it was Kate's. I will accept the nomination. It's not something I really wanted to do, but I will accept it. It needs to be done. So, so having a slate of a chair and vice chair, we need to vote that in. So, again, roll call, Barbara. Voting for.
Sorry, do we need to make a motion to accept the slate?
Yeah, I guess we do. Thank you very much.
I make a motion to accept the nomination of Tim Austin as chair and Sharon
Hot.
Thank you, Ducat, as vice chair for the Conservation Commission.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
And I will second that.
And so, Barbara, in voting,
Yes.
Val, are you there? I just happen to have it in this order.
Val was going to second the motion, so I imagine she'll
No,
type in.
Barbara seconded it.
No, I said she was trying to second the motion
Was going
via
to.
chat.
I'm sorry.
So is Val on and able to hear?
She's typing, yeah.
Oh, she's
Val,
there.
she votes yes in the chat box.
Oh,
Thank
so
you, guys.
she unable to.
Yeah, she can hear and she can see us, but she can't. Her microphone and camera are not working. Maybe because she's been muted by the host. I think she accidentally joined as an attendee as opposed to a panelist.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
We can ask if Betsy is on, if she can upgrade her to panelist.
Well,
I bet Betsy's not on.
let's get through this confirmation, and then we will go back. Sharon,
Yes.
on the matter, Diana,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
thank you. And I guess I will vote yes. Okay, good. Let me see if I can quickly, without taking very much time, I don't even see Val on the list of attendees.
Tim,
Yes,
just one thing. I think you need to delineate the length of the term.
my assumption is the term runs for the length until the new commission is appointed.
Really? That's 4 years?
2 years.
2 years?
4 years.
Well,
It's 4 years for some.
the new commission members end, a set of commissioners' term ends every 2 years. So some of us are new, all right, Val and Diana are new, and Barbara are new this year, and they were just appointed. In 2023, I know my term runs out, and I think Sharon and you and Kate
Yeah.
also will run out.
So-
And the town regs say that, commissions in the first meeting after the new commissioners are appointed in every odd year shall elect a chair, a secretary, and other offices that they deem needed.
So you're saying it's a 2-year term?
Yes.
2-year term.
Just as defined by the regulations that say that on the odd years, those officers will be agreed upon by the commission.
So Barbara, I didn't hear what you said. Are you agreeing that it's a 2-year term, or do you think it's
That's
something that?
exactly what I did say, yes.
Okay, you were broken up. Okay, so, David, is it a choice between a 1 and 2-year term, or do you just assume it's a 2-year term?
I would assume it's a 2-year term.
Yeah, given the regs. If we find out different, I'll be glad to only do it for a year.
You can always resign.
That's right. There's always that option. Okay. So let's move on. And I think at this point, I'd like to take a minute and go, slightly off agenda, but because Diana, you were not able to be here last time, I just wanted to pose to you the same kind of introductory question that we posed to the other new members of the commission, just to be able to understand a little bit about what has driven you here. And so what we asked each of the new members is just to talk about what made you interested in the Conservation Commission and brought you here with us today and for the next 4 years.
Yeah, 4 years. My term's a little longer. Good evening, everyone. My apologies for missing the last meeting. As I mentioned, I am going to be a baby in October, and I slept through the last meeting, so. But I set an alarm for this one, so my apologies. I was raised in Woodbridge, just moved back here with my family, and this position came up, and it was one of interest. My background is in the environment and energy and sustainability. I'm the sustainability manager for the town of Branford, Connecticut, and I get to work on a lot of conservation, natural resource projects over there. So when this opportunity came up, it seemed like it was a really good fit with my professional experience, my educational experience, and just my personal interest with the town. I also own my own sustainability firm, so doing lots of stuff relevant to hopefully your good work. But as far as I read through the materials that you sent over before the meeting today. So my specific role with a conservation commission is limited. I work more with parks and open space and energy committees and whatnot, so I will take a back seat early on and hopefully learn from, the experts who've been here a bit longer, so. That's a little bit.
Okay, great. Thank you. I think, despite your last statement about stepping back, I think there's a lot for us, a lot for you to contribute, and a lot for us to learn from you. You mentioned open space, and a lot of what we do is about open space.
Oh, good. So I can help with grant writing and anything else.
Wonderful. Good. The next item on the agenda was the FOI. I hope does anybody not get the invitation for the September 14th FOI workshop? Everybody sounds familiar to everybody? All right.
Mhm.
So I did send out in the materials an FOI guide that was put together by, I guess, Central, one of the state universities, and I made mention that wasn't really necessary to go through that in detail for this meeting, and I don't intend to go through it in detail. I did have for last meeting a few items I was going to mention about FOI, but with the workshop coming up on 14th, I will not. The reason I sent those materials, and I really don't know whether those materials are going to be cover the same items as Tom Hennick will cover on the 14th. But it did strike me that it took me a couple of go rounds, kind of looking at FOI and try to understand what it was to kind of get it. And I thought it might be helpful for any of you or all of you to just be able to read through it beforehand. And I think he'll cover some of the same items, but maybe it's the second time through you'll be able, better able to think about it and ask questions. We can submit questions beforehand, and if you do get a chance to read through that material, and let's say what's today, Thursday, by maybe midweek next week or so, or even the end, let's say the end of next week, if you want to send me the questions, I will compile them and send them on to Town Hall. I have already asked, and they will accept questions ahead of time. In fact, kind of would welcome it. And that way, we have specific questions, we'll be certain to get them answered. Any questions on that? Okay. Next item is the liaison report.
I guess I'm on. The first item is the Woodbridge Country Club. 3 developers have expressed interest in the country club property. One is New England Brewing. Another is a developer who has plans to build a driving range and a 3-hole golf course. Neither of these have been submitted as a formal proposal. The third developer from New York, Arbor Haven, has presented a PowerPoint in which they propose building 145 homes on 100 acres of the property, including single-family, multifamily, age-restricted, and affordable homes. A special meeting of the Board of Selectmen is scheduled for September 1st to ask questions of the developer and consider a town meeting regarding this proposal. Due to an uptick in the COVID-19 cases in Connecticut, indoor mask requirements have been reinstated in all municipal buildings, and all public meetings will be conducted remotely. Also, because referendum may not use absentee ballots, the bonding referendum has been postponed. Liaison. The first selectman delineated the roles of the liaison to boards and commissions. Liaisons are to act as conduits for information between the Board of Selectmen and the commissions. The liaisons will not take part in discussions and should only comment when asked to do so. Reports should be limited to information germane to that particular board. Furthermore, should you need assistance in any matter you are to contact First Selectman Heller or Tony Genovese. And the last thing, housing planning grant application. The Board of Selectmen voted to go forward with an application for a grant from Connecticut Department of Housing to fund a proactive housing plan for present and future needs.
Can we, anybody, Dave, you take questions on that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. If you speak to me, I can respond.
Yeah. It's one of the items that I wanted to talk about. But anybody else have questions on those items?
The proposal that came over from the developer in New York about the Woodbridge Country Club, I guess they're presenting at the Board of Selectmen meeting. Is it appropriate for us to attend and ask them questions there as it relates to conservation? And
The special meeting doesn't have public comment, but there will be another presentation at the regular Board of Selectmen meeting. You'll be able to participate in that one.
okay, so this is a special meeting they're holding for.
Right.
Does that mean we can't attend as well as not ask questions, or we just can't ask questions?
Well, you can watch it.
You can attend, yeah.
Specifically, special meetings do not allow public comment.
Okay.
Are town commissions considered public comment?
That's a good question.
Sorry.
I don't know the answer to that. You could perhaps speak to Beth about that, or I can speak to Beth about that for you if you would like to attend that meeting.
That would be great.
Well, I guess let me interject here. Diane, are you asking about attending that as a citizen of Woodbridge? Are you asking about attending that as part of the Conservation Commission, representing the Conservation Commission?
Well, I think as a commissioner, I'd be attending just to hear what the proposal is and see how that relates to resource conservation and open space.
So Diane, are you, from what you just said, I'm thinking that you're asking whether as commissioners we can attend the meeting, not whether we can ask questions at the meeting, right?
No, anybody can attend the meeting. It's a public meeting. It's not like an executive session that is only for the executive board. Anybody can attend the meeting. It's a public meeting. The question is whether or not commission members are allowed to, I guess, interact in the meeting. My understanding from just municipal government stuff experience is that with special meetings you are allowed to ask questions, but you can't ask questions about things that are not on the agenda.
That's a very interesting question. I think it's worth us understanding that. Absolutely, because it is a good time to possibly ask questions, given that it's when ideas are being formulated and what Conservation Commission adds is something different than what the other Board of Selectmen might think about or be adding.
Right. So maybe, David, you could get clarity on that for us, if you have time.
I will find out about that and get back to Tim tomorrow.
Appreciate it. Valerie also has a question that she's put in the chat box. Tim, would you like me to read it?
Yes, please.
Is the developer's proposal sponsored or supported by any legislative action, or is his proposal just independent?
I'm not sure I understand that question.
Okay, we'll have to wait for Valerie to retype that.
Okay, ask a question in the meantime.
I have one more question too. About,
Dave, can I go? Sure, Sharon, go ahead.
when you say there's possibly 3 proposals, and I know that there's also another possible proposal by, Tim Urbano, when one proposal is being considered, if that gets lots of momentum, does it preclude the others getting some momentum? Or is it, you're gonna think of giving all 3 equal due and then come up with an idea that might be the best for the town?
Well, I think since right now we have one formal proposal that will be discussed, but that's not the end all and be all. These other possibilities still could come forward. I know an RFP has been written by Tony Genovese for the clubhouse, and that's going to be circulated. So this is not going to be acted on at the next meeting, at the special meeting, or on the meeting after that, because there are other proposals pending. And then it also has to have a public meeting so the public can ask questions.
Were these proposals submitted through like an RFP process, or were these independently presented to the town? Unsolicited.
The Arbor proposal. The Arbor proposal was unsolicited. This was a developer who was looking for property and contacted someone in town who knew about this property and went forward with the proposal.
Mm-hmm. And the other 2 pending proposals, were those also unsolicited?
The brewery proposal is the brewery proposal. How should I say this? The brewery was going to move out of town. They had a site on Bradley Road that they were going to use, and they had some problem with drainage there, so they looked at another site in Fairhaven. And I don't know if that's been finalized, but they expressed some interest for the country club. So, that's what that is. The other, the driving range and the 3-hole golf course, I think is just an idea right now. I don't think anything's been presented in writing. There's been no indication of how much land they actually want to use. The Urbano proposal actually might be in conflict with this Arbor proposal because they're using some of the same property. So in the Arbor proposal, they want to use the area for the clubhouse and the pool, to make another clubhouse, make a municipal pool, and use that land for their development. And of course, if that clubhouse is used for something else, then it would be in conflict. But this is early
Jim Urbano
proposal.
Right. Right.
Sharon,
I was just,
you're going to say something?
I think there, I don't really know that much about Jim Urbano's, but his idea is to conserve the rest of the land. Is that what you understand too?
Yep, I do.
So he has a proposal that would develop the clubhouse, prevent the town from spending the money to destroy it, and then utilize the rest as land for public use and conservation.
Yeah, there are two parts to his proposal. One is the clubhouse part, and one is the conservation easement part.
Okay.
So it's getting to the clubhouse part.
David, is there any more information on what the brewery was interested in doing?
I don't have any.
Okay.
But what they had wanted to do on Bradley Road was to set up a brew pub operation.
That almost sounds like it would be a nice overlay with the Urbano proposal.
Yeah.
Using the same area and the facilities there as a restaurant, and probably wouldn't be putting on on banquets, but they would be entertaining lots of people drinking beer. But so yeah, be interested in what that is as it develops.
You know, ultimately, the decision on any of these proposals has to be voted on by the town.
Right.
I have one more question for David before we
Sure.
go on. David, I know that we've been, the loan for that land, or paying off the debt for that land has been going on for a while. Do you have a sense of how much longer the debt exists, and at what point it will be no longer a burden to the town?
Yeah, it's about halfway. I think there's $4 million left on that note. So it's about 10 years.
It was a 10-year note, or it's 10 years to go?
It was a 20-year note, and we didn't pay on it the first year. So there are 10 years left.
But my hunch is it would be, if it's halfway, it would pay more quickly because we're not paying we've already paid a lot of the interest, right?
Right.
So it's probably about 4 years till it's paid off?
Except, but here's the issue. We had 1-year notes on that property, and now we have bonds. We have 10-year bonds on that. So that's, the amortization doesn't really pertain to this.
Okay. It's a burden to the town for probably another 10 years.
It's a cost to the town.
Yeah, cost. Thank you.
Dave, I had 2 questions. One, in the very last item, the housing planning grant. Does that, and let me start at a different point. I guess I haven't seen anything on the housing committee lately that they're meeting. Does this have anything to do with the housing committee? And is that committee still viable going forward?
That committee is still viable.
Okay. And the other item was, subsequent to your email to me today, did you receive an email back from me?
I did.
Okay.
I received one email from you. Did you send me 2 on that?
I'm trying to remember. You sent me a copy of your report.
Yep.
And I sent you back a couple of bullet points. And I
Yep. I have seen them.
okay, so if that's the case, I think I'll suggest we talk about that offline. We can come back and revisit that next time.
Okay.
It has to do with the item around the role of the liaison.
Oh yeah, I got that.
Some of your comment, about, and I would, I think we all value, from what I can tell, your comments, and I think we would like to get your comments as much as possible. So I think we'll, let's just talk about that a little bit. We can do that
Okay.
offline and then come back on. Okay. All right, great. Good discussion. Thank you
You bet.
for the report. Thank you for the questions. The next item was property research tools. There was a couple pages of notes I sent out on those tools. So first, it was, let me make sure that I understood correctly. During the last meeting, I thought there was interest in knowing more about these couple of town tools. Is that the case? And if it is the case, we can take, we can take a little time and we can just look at them online.
I thought we were with maps and less with that until we had a better idea of the lay of the land. But I guess it's really the people who don't know the lay of the land, which they feel like it's most important to.
Yeah,
What about?
Sharon, forgive me, I think I talked over you and I missed the very first part of you said you were more interested in maps, was that?
Yeah, I feel like that research tool is more getting into the nitty gritty of stuff
Right.
and people are trying to figure out, being new to the commission, even just the demographic, the what's open space and what isn't and where it is and
Okay,
stuff like that, but I could be wrong, and I'm open to other people's thoughts.
I
uh,
personally, myself, I would very much be interested in Sharon's suggestion about maps and what is where.
Okay.
And who-
well, I had spent a good amount of time gathering maps for this meeting. And I had all sorts of maps, well, like not all sorts, a half a dozen maps of various sizes, some very big, and got a lot of help in town hall to copy maps, and I had them ready, and I was going to spread them out on a table during our meeting, and we could all look at them and start to get an understanding of the lay of the land, as you said. Unfortunately, work through it, so I'm not quite sure how to do that. We have one map that I sent you that is somewhat readable electronically that we can bring up, but I think that's you can look at individually. It's in the materials I sent, and if let's see if I even open that up here. No, I did not. So, that it was a map. Looks like it came out of the Plan of Conservation and Development, and I think that because it does say that right on the map. It is the Greenway,
Right.
and if it's helpful, we'll bring it up. We can all stare at it and talk about it. I mean, would that
I'd like to just take people through it for 5 minutes to give people an overview of, and anyone else can chime in just on, where is the open space that we're already have. If that's okay with you, Tim. I mean, I don't know how we'll do
that's
it,
fine.
but I'm looking
does
at
does anyone have that map and wouldn't mind sharing it? I just don't. Just didn't open it up. And I have to go search through my email. I have it on paper here, but that's not going to help. I'm talking about this guy.
Do we? Oh, that one. Okay.
I don't think this allows everybody to share content.
See that? Oh wait, really? I thought as a panelist we could do that. Let me see. Who had that? Just so I can try to see if I can get them.
I have it open,
Okay, Diane. Let me see if
but if Sharon has it open, she can drive.
I don't.
Oh, okay, I have it open.
Thank you, Diane.
Yeah. Start private chat. I see. I don't see that I can do this either, and I don't.
Yeah, see, next to video, to the right, there's an option to share content, which I believe is the same as sharing your screen.
It's right. Switch audio. No, I don't see. Let me see. Share.
Well, we can, I mean, we can do it at the next meeting, if that's easy.
Yeah, I'll have
It
to
does seem it's complicated to do right
find
now.
out from Betsy how we do that.
Betsy would have to make somebody a co-host.
Yeah, yes. Okay, thank you. I see you're familiar with WebEx.
Sorry.
If you know that, that's fine. No, that's fine. We were, this is the first time we've used WebEx, as I mentioned at the top. So, okay, so let me make a note on that.
So maybe we can do that next time if we figure out the technology a little bit more.
Yes, okay. I somehow I thought I'd be able to do that and just give and be able to share during the meeting, which that's not helpful. But I can't even share, so, okay. so for the maps, you know, I have the one Greenway one, and Sharon, do you think that's the sufficient to have this, get people the background you want to get them
I
to?
think it's really tricky to do it if we can't see the same thing, because I can describe different properties, but
Yeah.
without being able to point to them, I don't think people will be
No,
anything lost.
we need the visual, but what I'm asking is that Greenway map, the one I had provided in the material,
Yeah, I
is
think
that'll be good enough to have that discussion?
I think at least the beginning, certainly there can be a discussion about it, because it shows Eldersley, it shows water company, it shows town property, it shows some things, so that it's, I think so.
Yep, okay. All right, so we'll plan on that. And the tools, hold off,
No, I
that'll-
think if we have the time, I mean, I'm not trying to prevent that, I just thought people.
Yeah, and I only wanted to do it if that was gonna be helpful, if people have, I mean, people can explore this themselves, but sometimes just an overview is helpful. So I'm willing to, well, I can't even do that because I can't share. So.
Okay, we'll say that.
I think we're putting that on hold also.
Next meeting will be super interactive.
Yeah, next meeting, we won't have to have an election, we won't spend a lot of time on,
We'll leave poor David alone.
excuse me?
I said, we'll leave poor David alone
Yeah,
with our question.
David always has things to share. So we'll move on then to the Greenway extensions on the agenda, and this to me is essentially a goal, an objective discussion. I sent you all the Greenway section from the open space plan. And to me, the open space plan is what drives a lot of what we do. One of our 21 goals was to address Greenway expansion, extensions, I think it's called in the plan. And so we need to come to, I think, an agreement among the group of what that is, what are the extensions, what does that mean, and there's some way to bound it. Most,
Tim, can I ask a question here? You did originally send us a map with the green extension, there's green parts on it, which I assume are the Greenway, is the Greenway. Is this proposed, all that green, or has part of it been acquired or secured, I should say? I'm not sure what the status is.
yeah. And that's exactly where I am, Barbara. I've been trying to get my hands around what exactly is the Greenway.
And what part of it already exists, and what extensions are we proposing to look at?
Right, that's what we need to understand as a group, and understand and then agree that that's what we want to do. Because when as I look at different documents, I usually see the Greenway as something that's been established. It's registered with the state. I think I might be off here, but I think it's 17 miles. One of the major maps that we have, and it seems to be the go-to map, is it's titled Woodbridge Open Spaces in Greenway 1996. And when I look at that map, and that's the one on paper I was going to share with everyone, and then when I look at other maps, the open spaces and the Greenway are frequently combined on one map. And I'm not clear as are all open spaces Greenway? Or is the Greenway just some of the open spaces and we just have open spaces that are separate? And
And
it's
then
not,
on this map, I mean, there is a line that goes around,
Yeah.
or mostly around the town in green.
yeah. Right, and that,
And is that the Greenway?
yeah, so is that, or is that I think that may have been the vision of what the Greenway could become.
Could be. That's what I don't understand, whether it is.
I think if we overlay the map that we were trying to look on that, you'll see that a fair amount of that is part of the protected land or some of the public, private recreational land. And that's why I think it would be so helpful if we could all just be comparing all these maps like you'd wanted to do, Tim. I have a question. I know we're prohibited from having a meeting. I'm wondering if some of us could meet outside and share the maps and others of it. I mean, is there any way that we can get, this is such a helpful thing if we have a tangible, like what you've just collected, Tim, is so helpful.
Yeah.
And I think it wouldn't even take that long. It's just that we need to kind of physically compare, at least I work so much better that way. So I'm just wondering, in terms of the town jurisdiction, if we all met on a park bench or picnic tables for a half hour, is that against the rules of what we can do? Can we
Of
call
the
a special
FOI?
meeting and do that?
Well,
I think we call a special meeting.
September.
So David, I guess I'm wondering from your perspective, can we call a special meeting to do anything like that, or is that not?
You can call a special meeting, certainly. I mean, the rule is if you have two people meeting from opposite parties, then it is quote unquote a meeting. But my understanding is if you document the meeting and take notes and make them public, then you fulfill the obligations of the Freedom of Information Act.
And are we going against the town jurisdiction to meet outside with masks on to do this, or are we allowed to do that?
I don't see why not. The restriction is inside municipal buildings,
Uh-huh.
and that's
Well-
outside of municipal buildings. And outside municipal buildings, I don't even know that you are required to have a mask. Although I would definitely recommend if you're within 6 feet of somebody else, you have a mask on.
Right.
That's from a point of view.
Yeah, but the announcement that all commission board meetings would be held virtually, is that a blanket or I don't remember the language. Was that, you're saying that was just to apply to if you're meeting in a municipal building?
Yeah, that could be one interpretation.
Yeah.
That's probably the intent, that they don't have meetings inside the municipal buildings.
Yeah, so, so we could seek clarification and then maybe we could meet as outside and on a picnic bench, as I say, Sharon, in the center of town, Grove, and then be able to do this. The other, my understanding of the FOI, which we'll all learn about on September 14th, is that if we meet with enough people to have a quorum of the commission, which for us would be 4 people, then we need to notice the meeting.
Yes.
And send a notice to the public and do all the requirements. If 3 of us meet, then that doesn't constitute a meeting, since there's no quorum to do any business.
Well,
So-
it constitutes a meeting, but since you don't have a forum, you can't have a vote to do any business.
Okay, I guess I'll.
I mean,
I'm not going to say I'm any expert on the FOI, so I'll.
The intent of the Freedom of Information Act is to, shine a light on what happens, in the
Yeah.
public sphere. So that deals aren't made in the back rooms and things of that nature.
Right, that makes
Right.
sense. I think we're trying to
So-
figure out how
so
to
I think
educate ourselves.
It may be the best way forward then, Sharon. Sounds like it could be to have a special meeting, schedule it for outside, and then, you know, use the picnic table to spread the maps, and I'll take a look at it. So we can try to do that. I'd be very
Is
willing to
anyone
do
else
that.
interested in that, or does that seem
Without
unnecessary?
question, I think that's the only way we're gonna make any headway here.
Yeah, and I wonder if there's like a town planner or somebody else that we can meet with, who would be able to also shine a light on some of the properties. Because I think having the plan of conservation and development map there is great. The other thing that it mentions are a bunch of parcels that are worthy of preserving.
Right.
And so I'd love to see, you know, the two layers, one right over each other, or just see, you know, if, since we have GIS in the town, see if there's, you know, a layer they can create of those potential properties.
You know,
Yeah.
if, I don't, David, again, you'd have to help us, because I think I'm very ignorant, but would it be something where we could ask Chris Sullivan to come to, who's the, you know, town, you know, the person who knows a lot about zoning?
Well, you could ask her, but this is not her area of expertise. I spoke with her when I was looking for maps for the Greenway, and she said that she didn't have anything to do with it.
Oh, okay. Well, the other thing could we invite Jason to come and give us impart some of his knowledge to us?
I think that would be appropriate.
I didn't hear you, what?
I think that would be appropriate.
Yeah.
Jason
Okay.
come.
So maybe
Sorry,
we
who's
should,
Jason?
Jason is the prior chair for the past 8 years,
Oh, yeah.
so he could give us a lot of perspective on that.
Yeah. Yeah. Jason has some of the back. Okay. And meet with me before this meeting. So yeah, I think that would be great. Instead of just through me, he can share with everybody, and that, I think that would be helpful. So I think that is a good path forward.
You know, there's that pavilion that's underneath the,
Yeah.
you know, in
The
case
Rotary Pavilion,
the Rotary Pavilion.
that's off Center Road.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Might be a good place to meet, because it has a ceiling on it in case it's less than perfect weather.
Yeah. All right, and as far as this now comes to
Or
the
the
tough
road.
part.
I'm not worried about that, because there's plenty of ability to have tables there to meet.
I didn't hear what you said, Barbara.
I'm sorry, I said, or the Grove, if we're not worried about the weather, because it's easily accessible and plenty of tables that we could spread out on.
Uh-huh.
For
So-
the pavilion. Oh, that area behind the library where there are
Oh,
picnic
right.
tables already.
Yeah, that's a great area.
Between the library and the old fire. house.
The pavilion has no tables in it.
Oh, it doesn't? Oh, it used to.
I don't believe so.
Okay.
You know, there's
I could be wrong.
there's another place that might meet your requirements. The Camp Whiting, the Boy Scout camp, has
Yeah.
tables in that pavilion.
I've never been there.
It's right off Litchfield Turnpike.
Is that
Yes.
is that a publicly accessible facility, Dave, or I thought that was Boy Scouts? No?
I think you'd have to get permission to use it, but that wouldn't be a problem,
Okay,
as long as the
All right.
ones are using it.
all right. As far as a day of the week and time, Barbara, I know you have a schedule that at least on Thursdays brings you to 7 p.m. So is there a day of the week when you don't have that restriction?
Any other day of the week, I do not have that restriction.
Okay, So-
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I finish work at 5. On Friday, I finish at 2.
Can I make a suggestion just about coordinating schedules?
yeah,
If folks are comfortable, there's, you know, a good website that we can use where you put in a week and you just highlight the times that you're available to meet, and then that helps you figure out convenient times to to unofficially meet.
Well, we do a special meeting, right? We'd have to notice it as a special meeting.
Yeah, and that's something that can be done. That part I'm not worried about. I wanted to get and Diane, I think that's probably a good idea to coordinate and save time here. What I wanted to get to was at least a sense of the committee of when we should do this. Should we do it at 5 o'clock? I mean, right after, is that too early for people? Or should we do it, because we're starting to run outside, it's dark now. We're starting to run into, not that we go this long for that purpose, but we will start to run into darkness. So
My work days, I could take off early, or Tuesday afternoons, I don't work late.
okay, so does a Tuesday kind of work, or and is 5 o'clock work? I mean, I guess that's what I'm. Anybody have real problems with doing a 5?
Mine is very, very week to week specific.
Okay, all right, so let's put up, Diana, if you want to share that tool with me, then we'll get that started. And we'll aim generally for 5 o'clock, and we'll just put up the couple weeks. I think we probably want to do it, well, let's say the next 3 weeks, we'll try to get it done. And
Yes.
okay.
I think for special meetings, you need no less than 24 hours notice.
Yeah. Right, so that shouldn't be a problem. Okay. On the Greenway extensions, I'll leave it a couple other thoughts on this. Maybe people can start to look at. We'll get the maps, we'll get the background. I would like to understand what the Greenway is, what the current one is, and the best description I've found in it is, I believe I sent you to all the Woodbridge Open Space Plan from 2000.
Mm-hmm.
I told you you didn't need
Yes.
to read it for tonight. But in there, there is a section, in fact, it's most of the latter half of the document, that has a description of the Woodbridge Greenway, and it's divided into sections. And I'll read you just one. Top of West Rockbridge State Park, Baldwin Drive and Regicide Trail to the town's Starling House. And then it from there it lists the different properties, not by address, but just by common name, that are in that section that comprises the Greenway. So that's the best description I've found. Now, if you don't know what the lodge is, then you may have a hard time understanding where they're talking about. So I think there's some translation to be done. But you may want to look through that to start to understand what the Greenway is. But I haven't necessarily seen a map with just the Greenway properties defined. And then, Barbara, you brought up a point before about asking about protection, and I think what's considered the Greenway is it has a mishmash of properties that are fully protected to properties that are just there with no protection at all. And I think part of what you need to start to think about is in the extension to the Greenway, are we talking about more property, or are we talking about protecting what's there, or both? And that's part of I think, coming to consensus. So all that will come out over the next sessions that we do. All right, any other final comments on Greenway before we move on? It's getting late. Okay. Our next meeting is September 16th at 7:30. I'd like to, and I'm going to try to do this at every meeting if if we can and have time, I'd like to just go round table it and ask if you have any items for the next meeting that you'd like to address, put on the agenda, and if you have any other comments for the group, things that weren't on today's agenda, etc. So I'll start with Sharon. You're big on my screen right now for whatever reason, so I'll start with you.
I don't really have anything specific to mention except that I don't have anything that I actually was a little distracted when you asked me that question, so am I answering what you're asking?
Any items for the next agenda or any comments for the commission in general?
Well, I think once we feel like we have some common understanding of the land that we're actually trying to protect, I think that it would be, I think we'll be able to move a lot more effectively as to how to protect it, because right now, I think a lot of us don't know the pieces that are involved. I just mentioned beforehand, and I just wanted to open it up for other people, if you're okay with this, Tim, is that I just read a little quote before we went on camera from John Muir, and I thought if any of us had quotes that were really relevant, that were very brief, it might start things with an inspirational kind of feeling. And so, I don't know, we can just see if anyone has anything that they'd like to share, but if they don't, then we won't have it. But if they do, it would be nice to have a little quote.
Or does anyone like to raise their hand and find a quote for the next meeting? Keep Sharon's tradition alive. It's a whole month to work on finding one quote.
I think that sounds like the perfect role for the vice chairman.
I will find next time's quote. Okay?
All right. Diana, now you're big on my screen, so you get to go next. Any comments or items for the next agenda?
No comments, just looking forward to learning more about the property research tool. Hopefully next time we can know how to share our screens. So that's it, thanks.
Yeah. An oversight on my part. I didn't even, Barbara, anything from you to share with the commission?
Just two things. One, obviously, for the agenda for the next meeting is further discussion on what we're learning in the initial meeting about the greenways, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And another thing, just a comment in that open space thing that you gave to us. There is a section called current land holdings, and it is incomplete. And I say that because there is a land holding by the Park Association. I happen to know because I happen to have given it, and it's not.
And I am familiar with that. Is that the open space plan for 2000, or is that the? Okay.
This is from 2000, yes.
All right. Okay, and that donation was made before that, or I don't recall that.
Way before that.
Okay. All right. Okay. So we will.
What I'm trying to say is, I think we need to research it a little bit more. There may be more pieces around.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Noted. And finally, Kate, or
Hi.
Kate, any?
My only comment would be is I took minutes again for this meeting, but
You
for
did.
the next one, I would like 2 volunteers in
Well,
case somebody couldn't
well,
hear.
I was also trying to take minutes, Kate, and I was going to start, and I didn't say this before, that I have a list here of names in alphabetical order.
Excellent.
And we're going to start, and we'll do the rotation until, and we can talk again about spending the money and getting permission and spending the money for someone to take notes. But in the meantime, I think we'll rotate it, and and I was planning to skip you on that list. I already wrote that down, so, so to give fair warning, and this won't, I don't think will be, well, I guess for the special meeting, we'll still need minutes, but that'll be easy, we looked at maps. I think if we go in alphabetical order, then Barbara, I think, and I did it by first name, Barbara, you would be up first, so just a fair warning.
I think we should pick two only because, and I'll call this the Leland rule. Leland was supposed to do minutes for the meeting and then has never come back. Then that way, if they Leland us, then we have the backup person.
All right. Okay.
That would be Diane.
And Dave, did you have any final comments or?
Well, yeah, I do have one comment. The September 16th is Yom Kippur.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, I don't know how many people it's going to affect, but that should be a consideration.
Well, for the FOI meeting, you're talking about.
No, that's the 14th. The 16th is our next
Oh.
meeting.
No, our next
Oh.
meeting is the 18th.
Our next meeting is the 18th?
Did I get the date wrong?
Oh, man.
It says the 18th on the agenda.
Okay, let me see if I'm August and
Well,
September.
Thursday's the 16th of September.
Yeah, and that's Yom Kippur, you're right.
It is.
But is it officially written incorrectly on our official time when we're supposed to have our meetings?
On the meeting schedule.
Unless you
Well,
want to have a meeting on Saturday. The 18th is Saturday.
yeah, then that was, if I wrote the 18th of September, then that was a mistake, because the third Thursday of September is the 16th.
So do we want to put it off another? David, does that mean you won't be able to attend that meeting?
Well,
Because we could delay it. Could we change the meeting date to the next week? If everyone can make it?
We can certainly call a special meeting and meet the next week, and I'm very willing to do that, because that's not, obviously not gonna be a good day, possibly not a good day, I don't know the affiliations of everybody on the commission, but that's not a good day to hold a meeting. So, I would be.
The following week, you mean, or the week?
No,
of
the
16th?
16th. The 16th.
Yeah, so September 23rd, and I think that's a good date to pick because it gives us more than 30 days out, which I thought is a requirement for like a regular meeting.
Good
Well, I
point.
think we can cancel the regular meeting and call a special meeting.
Well, if you call a special meeting, then you can't vote on minutes and, you know.
Right.
So, but as I'm saying, I think if you decide tonight that it's gonna be September 23rd, it's at least 30 days notice, which allows you to
Yeah.
have a regular meeting.
Yeah, and I'm not available on the 23rd, actually. So,
Here you go, Sharon.
No.
so, would there be an objection to, the 30th?
I don't object. Is that okay with other people?
I'm looking. I think so.
Okay, all right.
Diana, is that okay with you?
That's fine.
Kate?
Okay, so we do, if there's no other business, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Well, can I just clarify? So we're gonna create a time with Diana's tool, hopefully, to create a meeting at a 5 o'clock kind of time for a shortish special meeting to look at, to get educated with maps outside. And then we're delaying our regular meeting till the 30th, which will now no longer be a special meeting so that we can actually do business. And then we'll have another meeting fairly soon after that, given that we're only maybe.
Well, yeah, it'll be I
Back
can
to
look.
the regular meeting schedule.
Yeah, back to
Yeah,
the
back
regular
to the
meeting.
regular meeting
Okay,
schedule.
is that what everyone understands? Cause that sounds good to me.
Yes.
Yep,
Great.
Perfect.
So again,
I so move.
I
I
second.
make a anybody make a motion to adjourn?
And I just wanted to thank Val for hanging in there, being that she can't see anybody and can't see
Yeah.
part of it. That's very nice of her to do.
So I'm sorry, let's go back to that for a second. A motion to adjourn was made by Diana and seconded by,
Sharon.
do we have to do a roll call vote on this one as well?
no.
No,
Although, anyone opposed?
No.
I think we're done. Thank you, everybody, very much, and thanks for having enough faith to elect me chair.
Congratulations.
And thanks for all the work you're putting in.
yes, indeed.
Okay. All right, we'll look forward to looking at the maps with everyone.
Okay.
Good
Have a
night.
good week, everybody.